So you think this thing in October is still going to be on?
Yeah, we'll see. It's looking, kind of dicey.
Yeah, things are getting canceled left and right around here.
We'll probably try to make that call, see where we're at, maybe a couple weeks before, and if it's still looking pretty bad, we'll probably just cancel it. I had a few people sign up though. I think we've got like 8 cars, I think, so far.
I looked at a couple of those other locations in the DC area, and a few of them had humongous amounts of cars.
Oh yeah, the biggest one in the country, or at least on the East Coast, is in Poolesville, Maryland, which isn't that far away.
Yeah, I know.
It's massive. I went to that one when we first moved over here. Yeah, they had like 300 cars.
I mean, most people, Poolesville, what's that? Where's that at?
Exactly. It was a big event too, and it wasn't just Indu. They did it real nice. They have a town like festival, so it's called Poolesville Day, and so they do their Indu in coordination with that event. So they have a built-in huge turnout anyway of people who are going to be there. So it's a great combination.
Yeah, in Davis, along with the Leaf Peepers Festival, they have a car show, and they say it's classic cars. So that's the name of it. So I wrote them and said, it's a classic car, but I've got an oddball car. I've got an electric car. Can I bring that along with it? Never heard back. But I'd give it a shot anyway. If
it's still going on.
Still going on. I don't know.
So when is that? October sometime?
September.
September.
Yeah, I think they'd be interested for electrics in some of these classic car shows and some of these car shows.
Well, that's what they do in Charleston. They've got that on the boulevard, the doo-wop, they call it the doo-wop classic car show, and it goes on for like 2 or 3 days with people parked on the boulevard. And so we've participated in that for a few years, except last year and probably this year.
So I wonder if Marty or Larry are going to sign in.
Well, I haven't heard from them, but the idea is they're going to be able to sign in from the Panera Bread.
Right.
We shall see. All right, Marty just texted and said sorry he won't be able to make it today. Okay. But I know Rick was going to be at the Panera along with Larry.
I'm surprised Thornton isn't there.
I'm here.
I'm in up at the Panera Bread in Tees Valley. You know about that? With they're showing the Tesla police car up at Panera Bread in Tees Valley.
Oh, well, there's Rick. We might have video.
I would have expected Rick to go.
Well, Rick he's there. That's he's supposed to be there. So I'm hoping that he's joining from there, and it works.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, looking promising.
That looks like a Panera Bread in the background.
Yeah.
Had to turn my mic on.
Hey, there he is.
So we don't have that two-way that an iPad has. The police car is right over there.
I see it.
We'll
Got it.
take down a tour, and the rest of the gang is over here. And so they'll come and hang behind the computers here, the laptop. Somebody else is logging in too. Okay, we're online, everybody. Whenever. Want me to go over there and join the conversation with them?
Sure.
Here's everybody.
like we got Larry and Mary Ann,
Yep, Ralph.
Ralph. Like, all right, good crowd.
This wonderful gentleman here brought his Tesla Model Y.
Awesome.
It is. I'm not able to tell if it's centered in the picture or not. So
Looks good.
Yeah.
I saw it. This is Matt. Wait a minute now. Right there, Matt. We're very happy to have him here with us. We only want to see it from the outside, not the back seat. But if I get in, he said he'd hold my head so I didn't bump it on the top. He's got a lot of practice. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep pointing it out to them, but just yell if you want to say something.
Well, is there a way we could get the officer to just give us a brief description of the modifications to the car and how they plan on using it?
I'll go over there and do that. Hopefully we don't lose the Wi-Fi. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're going to bring the car in the shade, not for the shade, but so that I don't lose the Wi-Fi signal.
Okay.
We have two visitors right here. They're going to go out and buy an electric vehicle this afternoon. So he's moving the police car over to where we won't lose the.
Okay.
Jim?
Yep.
I have most everybody's phone number, and I looked for yours to call you with a question yesterday, and I don't have your number in the spreadsheet. Don't put it out now, but if you can, send me.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send me an email.
Okay.
We're going to talk about what I was going to call you about because we really want your opinion. Okay, I'm going to try to turn this.
Oh, wow. It says police on the side. Yeah. Can't miss that.
I'm going to try to send them out, and this is very difficult. There we go.
So it's definitely a challenge to get police equipment installed on
it. It might be better if we can get the mic a little bit closer to the officer because we can't barely hear him.
So it was definitely a challenge to get all the police equipment installed on the Tesla, with it being something that nobody's really used to or having worked on before. But ESI down in Winfield was able to do some pretty fantastic work on it.
What were some of the inside things?
Obviously, we had to tap into the electrical system, but the lights, the radio, and find a way to hide that in the vehicle without interfering with anything the Tesla has put in there. No, they wanted it to be a good showpiece for them. So that's why this is going to be our new scheme for the vehicles. What ESI ended up doing for us is the front area has entirely become storage for the radio equipment and all of the guts of the car, basically.
Yeah, that the front is where they put the radio equipment.
They ended up fabricating just a piece of metal to hide all the bulk of it, and then they cut it out with a CNC to put all the fuses and controllers that we'd actually have to access. On the inside, they ended up running just controllers and remotes for the light system and for the radio mic. Right now, we just have the Tesla cameras. We haven't figured out exactly how we're going to use that, or if we're going to have a policy on using it, right, to safeguard us, or just for the fact of obtaining evidence. Even. Yes. At Nitro, we do take-home vehicles, and part of it too, with us learning to use a Tesla as a police vehicle, it's an experiment. So we're trying to keep it to one person. They're going to compare my fuel usage on a Ford Explorer that we typically run.
Where will you charge this?
Right now, we're doing it almost exclusively with just a destination wall charger that was installed at the office.
Yeah.
Which typically, right. But the cost of that can be prohibitive. So,
we're talking about AC, not DC.
And Rick, we can't hardly hear you, but we can hear the officer when you got the laptop pointed at him.
Yeah. That AC level 2 is about 600, and the DC level 1 is 10,000, the DC level 2 is about.
I know we've got like I want to say it's a level 3 or something wall charger. It's the one
I bet
that
it's 2. How big around is
it's
it? So
like a little.
yeah, you probably have an AC level 2.
Everybody will see.
It charges about 37 miles.
37 miles.
They're
It's a wall charger.
Yeah. So that
Yeah. Okay.
80 amps instead of 60 amps. 60 amps. That's the real.
I know that we wanted to do the supercharger type system just because of how quick it would be to recharge, but obviously I think the quotes on those came to 50,000, and that's more than the car itself and all the equipment.
Yeah. Not
I think the idea the city has wanted to explore too is maybe even get a few superchargers set up so that not only can we charge the police vehicles, but other people that want to use the supercharger network can do that in Nitro.
and if this is successful,
Right.
runs
Oh, it's incredible.
and it's pretty puppy, right?
It is. I actually haven't had it very fast, but a few people have gotten it very fast and they're impressed.
Is it a performance model?
This is just the standard range plus.
Standard range plus. Okay.
So about 260 miles top end on the charge. Just rear wheel drive right now. But
Right.
if this becomes successful for us and we find that it'll be useful, we will probably expand into different models in the future.
Sure.
How will this vehicle mostly be used? Did you hear that question?
No, go ahead.
I said, how will this vehicle mostly be used? In what type of capacity?
It's going to be used as any other patrol vehicle right now.
Okay.
The idea is to see how it stands up against our normal, like Ford Explorers that are designed for police work, and see how well we can use it for that role. With Nitro being a smaller department, we don't have a lot of comforts that other agencies that are larger have, where they might have a transport vehicle or they might have just a traffic unit or just this kind of unit. This would be an all respond to everything. The crash on the interstate, the domestic disturbance, the fight at the casino, everything. Correct. I don't think the seats would be very forgiving.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Can we see it with the lights on?
Let's maneuver this so we get what he's showing. Yep.
So maybe go to the front. Let's get a shot of it with the lights on.
So you may have to relay for me.
Yeah.
They ended up making a 3D printed tray that went in this basic storage cubby.
Oh, see, that's a 3D tray. Oh, put your hand on. I'm not sure I'm doing a good job.
There's a little bit of glare, but we can get an idea.
Yeah, anyway, they made their own little 3D printed unit to hold his communication devices.
All of your light controllers.
Where's it? Okay, sorry.
So that was pretty much the most intrusive part they had to do. They had to run 2 holes here for lights and cloud pictures, but everything else is pretty much just tucked away in here. Inside, they ended up putting a kill switch in because they couldn't figure out a good way with the way the Tesla is kind of always on standby like a computer. They had to have a way to shut it off when the car is not in use so it doesn't drain on the actual battery system.
So they actually put in a kill switch to make it shut off completely when it's not in use, so it doesn't drain the battery too much.
Right.
Let me take you around to the front and show you a picture from the front. Now I got so much glare I can't see anything at all. Oh, now you see the flashing lights?
Yep, I see the lights. You might be getting kind of far away from the Wi-Fi, Rick. It's a little choppy.
And there's the metal insert with their communications equivalent.
lawnmower battery almost here. I think they tap off of that to get power for the.
Yeah, they wouldn't tap up the 400 volt battery, probably just from the 12 volt system.
So that's why it's a nice small compact battery.
It's probably a glass mat, and they're usually a little smaller too than the. All right, this is really exciting. Well, we're gonna wander some more, and I'm gonna go back in the shade, and so I can see a little bit, and then you can go on with the rest of your meeting. And anybody else who wants to get in the picture, come on, Ralph, you want to get in the picture? Stay there as long as you want. Okay, go ahead, and I'm watching and listening to you.
Okay, well, we appreciate the kind of walk around. I know it's tough with the Wi-Fi signal and getting the good audio and all that. But yeah, I'm glad that looks like you got a good turnout there in person, and that the Nitro PD was so gracious to bring the car out and give a walk around. That's awesome. How many cars do you have total
we have
EVs
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Teslas and a Chevy Bolt.
All right, good turnout.
Yeah. Well, one's a police car, and then Marianne and Ralph brought theirs. Moses brought their Model Y, which is down at the other end. I asked the gentleman how fast he'd had it, 138 miles an hour. He said it was very stable. So
I can't say how fast I've had mine.
No, if you're recording this, don't say it. And then Mike Beam is here.
All
I'm
right.
going to mute and listen to you guys.
Okay. Well, this is Coffee and EV, so this is what it's kind of about. We don't really have any official agenda, but if anyone has anything specific they want to share, updates, news, I said I'll try to keep as quiet as I can and let you guys, bring up the topics we want to talk about. But I'm really excited to see the Nitro PD car. I thought that's awesome. Start seeing some real world experience with those types of fleet vehicles, so that we can start gathering data, and other folks can see the benefits of electrification.
Yeah, I'm glad we're outside so
awesome.
we can be without a mask. Being inside with the mask would not be much fun.
Yeah.
I probably would have come up if there was a supercharger for, a charger, fast charger for the Bolt in Charleston there. But
maybe one of these days, hopefully.
Otherwise, I would have had to spend half the day at Larry's house charging. I wonder what you guys have heard about 12 volt batteries on EVs, changing them over to lithium ion or doing something else and getting rid of these lead acid batteries in them.
Well, we know that Tesla's been pursuing that, moving over to smaller lithium ion based batteries for the 12 volts. I haven't heard of anyone else doing them. I know you can buy lithium ion 12 volt batteries from other providers. I mean, they're just,
yeah, it just seems like a real, I don't know, it just seems like kind of backward to have the big old lead acid batteries in there.
But you do have to have a secondary battery, separate from the main battery for safety purposes and all that. So there does have to be a secondary unconnected battery, but it could be in whatever form we want to put it, lithium, lead acid, whatever. But I'm sure they just use lead acid because they were common and easily, you could pick up a replacement anywhere without having to get some custom, a lithium ion from the manufacturer.
I know that my car has what's called, and you know more about this than I, a glass mat battery. It has to be, if you trickle charge it at a different level, you have to do that. But is that still a lead acid battery? It's not an lithium ion. I think it's still lead acid,
yeah.
But just a sealed.
It's still lead acid.
Sealed battery.
Like the AGM battery.
Yes, the glass mat. I can't
mat.
remember what the A stands for, but the glass mat.
Yeah. And I mean, while we're on this topic of 12 volt batteries and EVs, public service announcement, we've probably all heard it before, but keep an eye on that 12 volt because if that thing dies, you're dead. Even if the big, high voltage battery is fully charged, you ain't going nowhere.
Now, I bought the
until you get
battery
that 12 volt.
minder. We have a lot of voice on the Chevy Bolt network forum, and so once a month overnight, I just plug it into the battery minder. Which supposedly it's a little different than a trickle charger, but I make sure that my voltage is optimized once a month. And I've had it for going on 5 years now with no problems.
Of course, I mean, the lifespan of a 12 volt battery in most vehicles is in that, 4 to 6 year range. I mean, you might get more than that, or maybe less than that, but that's generally the range.
And I don't care if I have it longer, I just don't want it to collapse on me suddenly. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, that can still happen. The battery in my Leaf died at 4 years, not because it ran out of charge. Apparently, it had an internal fault, and it wasn't completely dead. It just couldn't supply enough power to power up the car.
Yes, and that's what the battery minder does. It supposedly knocks off those dendrites by pushing the signal the other way, and then you're less likely to get an internal short. We'll see.
Yeah.
When I still had my Corvette, if I did not drive that thing for a month, I had a dead battery.
So there was a parasitic drain that was pretty high.
It's all the electronics that are alive constantly. And I know on my wife's Escape, it's a real oddball thing, but she's got that start-stop, whatever they call it. You stop, stop sign, and the engine stops. That stops working unless the battery is fully charged. If we haven't driven it for a while, like a couple of weeks or something, it doesn't work until you get it fully charged up again.
Robert, did you have to have your Leaf towed then when that happened, when the battery went dead, or?
I did, mostly because I didn't realize that was the problem. It real ironically, I just had it up to the dealer like a couple days before, and they had done some recall work on it. And so when it suddenly wouldn't start, and it gave me error messages, but it still powered on. The power windows worked, the dashboard lit up, the radio worked. Everything seemed like it was okay, except it wouldn't power up to put it in drive. And it kept giving error messages. So I thought, it was some side effect to something they had done during the recall work. But after they sent a tow truck, picked it up, took it back, and determined that it was just an internal fault in the battery. So put a new battery in it, and it was fine. They had to clear pages and pages of error codes. But the battery was supplying 9 volts or something instead of, so it was right under the threshold where it wouldn't engage the main battery. Mm-hmm. But everything else seemed to work because there was power for that. So just one of those weird situations. Mm-hmm. But next time I will just replace the 12 or check the 12 volt battery, since I have learned that.
Yeah, well, I don't know, like I saw on a BMW i3, I guess there's some big process to replacing the battery, and the computer code has to be done. And you can do it at home, but it's really complicated, and then you have to bring it into the dealer. So I don't know how it is on the Chevy Bolt if one of our batteries goes, 12 volt goes. Mm-hmm. If you can just replace it, or
yeah, I haven't seen anything about the bolts and the 12 volts.
Yeah, Rick probably knows, but he's missing in action.
Well, and the bolts are still kind of new. I mean, people are probably just now getting to the point where batteries might start dying or needing to be replaced. Speaking of the bolt, I see that I guess Chevy finally capitulated. GM capitulated and said we're going to replace all the batteries.
With what? They don't know what they're replacing with.
Well, when Hyundai did that with the Kona, which was affected with the same issue, I was like, GM should just recall them and replace all the batteries. I guess they're finally going to do it.
But now they don't trust even the latest ones from LG Chem, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know the differences between the LG batteries, but LG supplies more than just GM. I mean, they supply other OEMs too. I think Tesla may even get some batteries from them for China. Or at least they had talks with them. I don't know if they're actually getting batteries from them.
Now, Jim, you have a Bolt with a B, right?
Yes.
B is in Baker. Okay. And how, yours 2017?
19.
19.
And I never got included in that last recall, so I'm assuming I have one of the ones built in Michigan.
But have you gotten a recall notice now?
Not yet. The only thing I got a recall for was to update the some kind of diagnostic stuff. And I did that when I had it in for the 7,500 mile tire rotation.
Well, you'll probably get a letter soon, I guess.
Yeah.
So where do you go, Jim? Over to Clarksburg, Harry Green?
Well, fortunately, I don't know if I've mentioned it to anybody, but I had on the Bolt, there are way down below the trunk, there's 3 lights, backup, turn signal, and a red light that becomes the brake light if the trunk catches up. Because if you put the trunk catch up, the lights, point straight up into the sky.
Right.
And one of those was out, and I'd start the car, and it would tell me it was out. I assumed it was just a bulb. I went down there, pulled the bulb out, turned out the bulb was fine. And to make a long story short, they replaced the wiring harness. But I did not, and I bought the car at Harry Green, which is a pretty good hike for me. It's almost 2 hours to get over there. So I checked with the dealers in both Elkins and Oakland. Elkins guys told me to go pound salt like usual of what they think of electric cars. But Oakland, just coincidentally, I called there. I said, would you do a warranty job, non-main battery related, it's just a light? And he said, in fact, we're going to start carrying Bolts, and we have just sent our tech away for 2 weeks of school. So he said, give me a call in 2 weeks, and when he's back from school, and we'll take care of you. So now I only have to drive, 37 miles to get to Oakland. So it's a big difference as far as I'm concerned.
That's nice. They going to put in a charger or anything at the dealer, or do they already have one?
I haven't gotten that far with them yet.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the topic, I think Rick mentioned it earlier, and he's back. So, Rick, did you want to kind of float the idea that we talked about yesterday and get some feedback?
Yeah, we just want to have an idea to throw out to all of you and see if it percolates. We stayed on a trip to Baltimore. We stayed at Canaan Valley, and they were very nice. And I was looking at it, and I thought, well, maybe they'd like to have the publicity of having an EV car rally. So I got on PlugShare, and I mapped out a little 85-mile route where you go down to Harmon, Elkins, Montrose, Parsons, Davis, and back to Canaan, 85 miles. So I thought maybe we should plan to have the Canaan Valley EV rally, and we'd all come in on a Friday night. They would give us a little bit of a deal on the room. On Saturday, we would have the rally, maybe have people take off every 10 minutes. And then we'd have, Robert suggested having several different criteria for winning. Maybe the one who drove the fewest miles, maybe the one who got the best efficiency, and the third one for time. So it's kind of a fun, different way to think about it. And then we'd have a banquet that night at their restaurant, so we'd give them all that business. And we'd stay overnight, a second night, and all leave for home. One of the things we'd have to do is, because they only have 2 plugs, is we would have to, you can't come in and need an all-night charge. You have to go to Blackwater or somewhere else and get fully charged, and then pop into Canaan, where you only need to top yourself up to full for the rally the next morning. So I just thought that WVEAA could take this on as a project and see if Canaan's not interested, maybe Blackwater is, or maybe Stonewall is. But I just thought it was an idea, and I don't have the best of ideas, so we wanted to have everybody put in their 2 cents worth.
Well, Canaan, is known for holding all kind of vehicle rallies. They've had some major one. In fact, they had one I think 2 weeks ago. The Ferrari Club of the U.S. Ferrari Club was there, and they had a picture in the paper of this whole one piece of the parking lot just parked full of Ferraris.
Wow.
But Canadian, back to the Chargers, they have 4. They have 3
You're
Tesla.
right. There's 4 plugs.
There's only a single non-Tesla.
I have the name of Mark Moody. Are you familiar with Mark at all? He's a director of marketing, and I left a message on the answering machine, but he didn't call back. But it was Friday afternoon, so.
And Blackwater is not yet open. They've been closed for a year. I think they're shooting for November because they totally remodeled the lodge. The Chargers are still up and running if you happen to be over there. But the lodge is closed because I think the main renovation was to replace the electrical system within the whole building because that was built back in the early 50s.
I'm having trouble hearing outside, but I'm glad you're recording because I will, probably this afternoon, I'll pop it back on and listen to it well. So if I don't answer your questions, it's because I can't hear. So Jim, do you think that might be a feasible? How many people do you think might come? Robert said, let's open it up to Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Virginia. See if we, because it's pretty much in the center of our state, and see if we could get people from other states to come, and then get to Kelly to do a publicity, get the word out.
Well, I think if you did something like that, because right now in my area, I am only aware of 3 electric vehicles. Myself, John Dupree, and there's another Tesla somewhere in the area that I've heard about, but I don't know who owns it.
Well, I know that when they were allowed to sell the Mustang Mach-E, it sold in less than a week. I know from Yes Chevrolet, they got 2 Chevy Bolts in, both gone in less than a week. So we know there's some here in the state, and those people are not participating in our activities. We've got to get the dealerships to let those people know that it would be a big benefit to them to be in the WV, and then we could do the Google, even if we send it. Robert, how many names are on the Google group?
I think
103?
Yeah, I think we're around 100.
Oh no, that was the Facebook members. The Google group is separate.
It's separate, but I think we're pushing 100. I could look here real quick. I might be thinking.
I think they're giving rides in the police car. I said I only wanted to see it from outside, not from the back seat.
The Google group has 102 members.
I guess if we send it out, well, we have contact with the Ohio people. In fact, I'm going to be at an Ohio stakeholders meeting next week. So we could get the word out. Maybe we can find out from National EAA who the contact person is in the 5 surrounding states. But you're right, there may be people from Lexington, Kentucky, until that fast charger's in Huntington, they don't want to come.
I think if anybody out of state wants to come, it'll probably be more people from over in this area, Northern Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, who will come down. But I was thinking if the group thinks that this sounds interesting for something to do next year, and we've got some time to put it together and plan it, I could talk to Kelly Bragg about it, and maybe Clean Cities. The Clean Cities Coalition folks, they may even have some dollars for events and promotion.
And I'm happy to do the groundwork, most of the grunt work to set the thing up. I'll just need some help as we get closer because, well, what do you think you need to have checkpoints at 4 locations and have somebody from our group there to check people in and out, or just do the one loop and forget about a checkpoint?
That would make it a lot more.
Because there's no faster way to get there.
Yeah, I don't know that there will be. I mean, I kind of like leaving it open too. I mean, or maybe you got one checkpoint or something, just to say you made it down to here, and then however you get there and get back is up to you.
Well, the only fast charger that I'm aware of near here is the one in Deep Creek.
And that's a CCS.
Yeah. No, yeah, CCS. And I actually have to look closely next time I'm down that way. I just took a quick look that time because I think they had just opened it then.
How late in the spring should we try to, or how early in the spring can we do it and still have expectation of reasonable weather to drive over there? 1st of March?
That could be, the 1st of March could be tricky.
I'm thinking probably more like April.
Late April
Okay.
or May, because I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but in the recorded history of the Canaan Valley, in the history, over time, they have recorded measurable snow in every month of the year.
I heard of it.
Wow.
Well, I think Taylor's on here. Have you bought an electric car yet?
He's got a Model Y coming.
Maybe
If anybody wants to go see the Model Y, I'll be happy to take the camera over.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, our Model Y, it was scheduled for September 1st to September 31st. Now it is looking like 15th through the 31st is what the Tesla site is showing.
I don't know if you noticed, but the license plate on the Nitro Tesla is from Maryland.
Huh.
So they went to Maryland to buy instead of Columbus, and they have a temporary Maryland license plate.
Yeah, that's probably where I got mine.
Well, I have to say our Chevy Bolt now is running on 100% solar because we plug it in the daytime when the sun's shining, and it doesn't take that much. So haven't had to plug it in at nighttime, really.
So how many excess kilowatt hours are you running now?
We're doing good. Excess, I don't have the chart here. I don't have it online until right now, but it's like yesterday we had 95, and I think we had 50 back to the grid, but then our second house gets subtracted from that, so probably 30 credit altogether. I don't know.
Do you have a credit on your bill yet?
Yeah. We haven't got the latest bill, but I just went online and we only had $5 in each house to pay, so they've got the parasitic working. So Taylor will be glad to hear that. The extra meter is counting.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I knew Mon Power gave us a little bit of trouble down there, but we finally got them, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting ready to roll over 9,000 kilowatt hours of credit.
Wow.
I have 2,300 credit.
Mm-hmm.
Told my wife I need to buy another electric vehicle so I can use
That's
it
awesome.
when it's excess.
Wow.
Or start mining Bitcoin or something.
Well, it'd be nice to see a Rivian come to this rally in the spring.
Yeah, well, I think they're starting deliveries. There's a good talking point. I saw that Rivian was starting deliveries in September, I believe.
That's what they say. They're expecting, I don't know, 200 to 500 of them out, I think.
Are they the ones that think they have their own charging network of something?
They're planning on building out a fast charging and destination charging network, yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure it'll be CCS, but even if it is CCS, are they going to open it to others? I presume they will, but I haven't actually seen that.
For the rest of you, I told Robert earlier, I just had solar panels installed. I'm waiting for the electrical hookups now.
It's fun. we're really happy with ours. It's just we just walked by the panels. Abby quoted Taylor's partner, Chris's father, saying, "Well, it's not an eyesore." It's a awfully good looking system. It's the best built thing on our farm.
It's awesome. And they just sit, they don't need maintenance. They just kind of sit there and they make all this wonderful power.
We had can you hear me? I'm new here. This
Yes.
is Mary Ann.
Hey, Mary Ann.
We had solar installed in June of 2016, got our 2019 volt in November of 18, and the solar has been supplying volt quite fine. I've only had to pay maybe 2 electric bills. Usually it's $5 a month just to be connected to the grid. And at the end of winter, it catches up. But right now I have probably about 2,000 kilowatts credit. So I plug in anytime, day or night, because one way or the other, it's going out, so it's coming back.
And pardon us, Mary Ann, I saw the name pop up in the list of participants, and we have another Mary Ann, and I thought that's whose phone had joined. So I apologize.
Yeah, Mary Ann Graham. Is that?
Well, do you want to take just a minute and tell us a little bit about yourself and the electric vehicle you drive?
I have a Bolt, a nice red Bolt Premier, and I have had 0 problems with it. I think a year ago, and something went on about transmission, but it cleared itself up within an hour. I had an 80-pound honey bucket on the floor of the passenger side, and it seemed to have caused the problem. And as soon as I delivered that, it was gone, and I've had absolutely no problem with my Bolt. I never charge to 100%, and I never go down to 0. So I plug in as soon as I get home and charge to 80 or 85, 90 90 or 95 if I really think I'm going to need it. But otherwise, I keep it low and just plug in when I need it. Right now, I'm in New Philadelphia, Ohio at my daughter's, and they have a garage plug, and I just use my level 1 in there. And now I used to charge all night, but now I just charge when we're awake and when we can monitor. But usually I'm here long enough to get plenty of charge to get back home.
All right, awesome. So where at in the state are you located?
Oh, I'm in Wetzel County, up in the north, on the Ohio River, up north, not quite in the Panhandle. Yeah, way out in the boonies.
Well, we have 7 people on here now, and 4 of them have Bolts. That's kind of unusual for this feed. It's because all the Tesla people are meeting in person.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay.
I am really, really satisfied with the Bolt. I love it. And the fire thing doesn't bother me because, again, I have never overcharged or undercharged. So, and I'll keep doing that until if they want to replace the modules, that'll be great.
Yeah, like get a new battery out of it. That'll be nice.
Right.
Well, thanks for joining, Mary Ann, and always like to have some new faces and names and places in the state represented.
Rick's been inviting me, but I'm not usually at home. I don't have enough of an internet connection to be able to join, but here at my daughter's I do. So I thought, well, I'll hop on this morning.
All right, great. How many miles on your Bolt, by the way? So
about 35,000.
35,000. Okay, great. Do we have anyone else on there? Let me scroll through the list here. I don't think so. No, I think that's about it. Most of we got a lot of folks that are either traveling. I know Marty and Scott are traveling. They aren't here at all. And then we've got several folks down at the Panera Bread in Taze Valley with the Nitro police car. And not too long ago here, earlier in August, over here in the Eastern Panhandle, we had a nice little gathering, several cars. We had a great turnout of various vehicles. Usually it's more Teslas, but we had 2 Teslas. We had a Leaf from Nissan. We had a Kia Niro, we had a Hyundai Kona, and we had a Chevy Bolt. So we had a large variety of electric vehicles. And most of those folks have signed up for Drive Electric Week at the Martinsburg Airport. Now, assuming that we can go through with that and not cancel it because of all this Delta variant stuff, but at this time we're going to stay the course and see where we're at a couple, 3 weeks out. Well, anyone else have any other news or updates? Anything else we want to talk about?
How's the Nissan Aria gonna turn out? Looks like a nice car.
It does look fairly nice. I think they delayed it last time I heard, so it'll be coming out in 2022. It will have active battery cooling finally, so maybe they've learned their lesson from the Leaf. And we'll see what the range is.
And what was the deal somebody said about before they stopped selling the Mustang or something? Aren't they still selling the Mustang? The Mach-E? Didn't somebody make a comment just a few minutes ago?
I think that was talking about a particular dealer, and they had like a demo model, and then they sold their demo model.
Okay.
I mean, the Mach-E is selling well from everything I've seen. I think they've had a few slowdowns or hiccups, and with the part shortages and chip shortages that all the automakers are dealing with. But overall, I mean, they're still putting them out. I know one thing I wanted to bring up. Did you guys see the new Mazda EV?
No.
Mazda,
and I mean, now this is their first fully electric EV that they're introducing in the United States. It's called the MX-30, I believe. It's a little small SUV. It would probably compete with like the Model Y and the Mach-E. But the thing that got me was, this is a 2022 model, I believe, and it has a 100-mile range.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know what it was, but I heard the 100-mile somewhere.
Yeah. And I was like, 2011 called and wants its EV back.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I mean, I rarely go over 100 miles.
Well, I understand that I mean, it may work for some people, but if you want to spend $35,000 on a 100-mile range car,
it would have to be 15 to 20,000.
I mean, it's pretty expensive. And if I only needed a 100-mile range car for like a commuter, which that's a perfect use case, I just go buy a used Leaf or a e-Golf or some older electric that has 100-mile range.
So I wonder. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
When we got back from the being over in, when was it, in August we did that? August 7th?
Yeah, it was like August 7th.
I elected not to stop to get a recharge. I kept going. We figured I'd have enough. Well, Katie was just panicking by the time we got home. Because when I think when I finally pulled in the driveway, I had 24 miles left.
And how many miles was it for the trip one way?
I didn't. I know what it is, but I don't have it at my fingertips.
Okay.
But
I was curious.
The fact that the charger that I did hit in, I even forgot the town, right? It's right on 81 there. I mean, that was perfect. And add another car to the list. While we were being charged, an IV4 pulled in there, and we were able to talk to them and whatnot. And just like us, for them, they were from Pennsylvania, and that was the first time they were ever publicly charging their vehicle. That was the first time for me too.
I wonder which foreign manufacturers are going to be making EVs in the United States. Does anybody know? Which ones will be manufactured here? I heard about one company the other day, but
I mean, there's a lot of startups that are, have plans.
No, isn't one of the big ones? Didn't they just announce? Was it Volkswagen?
Oh, maybe
Volkswagen will, yeah.
they'll be making
ID4 here.
Yeah.
The ID3 won't come here. I think unless they change their mind, that was supposed to be European only. But the ID4, and there's another larger SUV, I think an ID5, ID6, something like that.
There's a 5 out, but it's only Europe now.
Okay. So yeah, Volkswagen will. I mean, they've got large plans. They've got large ambitions. So I have no doubt Volkswagen will. Nissan, of course, already builds stuff here. The Kias and the Hyundais, as far as I know, all of those are made in Korea. But if there's enough demand, they may shift some production to the U.S. Of course, everyone knows where the Ford Mach-E is made, right?
Yeah, across the border.
Across the border in Mexico.
Which, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think we need to bolster Latin American economy, Central American, Mexican economies. I mean, it helped keep the population with something to do down there. And, I mean, it's, if those economies are more healthy, it's going to help us.
I don't have any beef about where they're made. It's just ironic that an American icon name, the Mustang, and their first mainstream electric vehicle from Ford at a all-American company is, made in a foreign country.
Yeah, you'd think they have done it in Detroit.
Yeah, and that's where the Mustang itself is built, the gas-powered Mustang.
It's kind of strange.
So it's more the irony of that it's the Mustang. If it had been like, a Focus Electric or something, no one would have probably thought twice about it.
Well, supposedly so far, the Mach-E has outsold the ICE Mustangs this year.
I saw that, yeah.
As far as where things are made, hasn't the Tesla surpassed everyone else in the most American-made car?
Yeah, the Model 3 was number one.
That's probably old news. Everyone knows that, but I thought I'd just mention that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the irony is like sometimes people think Teslas are made in another country, and they think something like the Mustang is, all American made, but it's the reverse. The Mustang Mach-E is made in a foreign country, and the Tesla Model 3 is the most American-made car produced.
Mm-hmm.
And the Model Y, I think, was third on that list.
Tesla competes with Corvette on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the Corvette is certainly an all-American, engineered vehicle. And there were several other, domestics on that list as well. But it's nice to see the electric vehicles, high on that list.
Did you see that video of the drag strip race-off between the Tesla Plaid, and I don't even remember the name of the car. It's something goes over $1 million.
Oh, the Navara.
Yeah.
That's that new electric hypercar. But the thing about it is, people were really interested in that race and that comparison, but there was no gas-powered vehicle there at all. The two fastest cars on the planet were both electric vehicles duking it out, to see who was faster. Of course, one was a, 2-seat exotic car, where the other was a, 7-seat family car.
Yeah, well, that was the difference. But the fact that if you look at the price difference alone,
oh yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Save $2 million and get the Plaid. But the performance, I mean, sub 10-second quarter mile times and 2-second 0 to 60 times. I mean, the era of kind of ICE performance is coming to an end, at least on drag strips anyway. And I think Tesla has the new Plaid out over at the Nürburgring in Germany. They're trying to set like a new track record, I think, over there. So that'll be interesting. But I don't know if you guys have seen some of those videos, the plaid race video, drag strip videos. It's just, I mean, if you bring anything stock to that race, it's like, don't bother. I mean, it just, the plaid just destroys everything. It's also funny, one of the guys, I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with drag strip rules, but apparently if the car runs faster than 9.9 seconds on the quarter mile, it has to have special safety equipment, like, you know, roll cage and a parachute and, you know, all the stuff like a drag car has. Well, obviously a Model S Plaid doesn't have that stuff, and if you just bought a $130,000 car, you're probably not going to tear it apart and add all that stuff. But if you break those rules, they'll kick you off, you know, they'll disqualify you and kick you off. So these Plaid owners are basically having to like sandbag to not break the rules, but still beat their competitor. So like the guy's going down the strip in the Plaid, and you can see the brake lights come on as he lets his foot off the accelerator so that he doesn't go too fast on the tracks.
Well, I don't think it'll be too long before they get into the funny car and dragster realm.
Well, that, you know, electric, you know, not just Tesla or all electric vehicles, you know, that instant torque, it's tough to beat that. No gearing that you have to worry about changing gears. That's just the advantages of electrification. Well, we got about a few minutes left. Anything else we want to chat?
No.
All right. Well, I can't think of anything else that's been big this past month. We do have, as far as upcoming events, we do have a member meeting coming up in September. I think it's the 11th, and then possibly Drive Electric Week here in Martinsburg, October 3rd, unless that gets canceled for COVID. As far as Charleston area, I don't believe there will be an Indu event in Charleston this year. There was some discussion about the doo-wop, but that may be canceled too. I'm not sure where that stands. I know we did not register, but AEP had offered us their spots. Marty got an email from AEP saying that they wouldn't be able to attend because of restrictions on COVID, and they were offering us their spots, but I don't know that that's going to happen. So again, we may be battling COVID restrictions this fall, but you know, hopefully it's not as bad as last fall, and hopefully everyone's vaccinated. All right.
Have a good one.